Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined, shout out to Colin Turner for the super chat, says nice shirt, thank you very much indeed. We are joined by Sleeping Warrior, Flatzoid, 10th Man, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. Very good to have you all.
Good to be here.
Hello.
Yo.
Good afternoon. Hello.
Hello. Any signs of Earth curvature?
No, not yet.
None.
Definitely not.
Discord, looking at you. Who have we got? Plan a walk. Any evidence of Earth curvature? Plan a walk?
Well, I'd say that there is, but you wouldn't agree with me, so.
Lay it on us, Earth curve boy.
What was that?
Tell us.
So, there's things by observations by Miles Davis a while back, which showed Earth curve.
We're going to need a bit more detail.
So, what he did is he set up a camera at a height of 210 meters, I think it was, and then there was a object that had a height of 210 meters in the distance, and the mountains further behind that, which were higher than 210 meters, were actually below the 210 meter object.
Shout out to K Poll for the super chat. Really appreciate your support. Shout out to Earth is Seriously Flat. You have destroyed all globe lovers. Viva Nathan. Thank you very much, Earth is Seriously Flat, for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Okay, so you've got a mountain that's lower than another mountain. What's the cause of that?
Well, what it looks like is the mountain has sunk behind another object.
Yeah, we heard that.
Yeah.
I said, what causes that? What's the cause?
It would appear to be Earth curvature.
And how have you validated that cause?
Well, the mountain, which is higher than this bridge tower, I think it is, should appear to be higher than the bridge tower when the camera is at a height of 210 meters, which is the same height as the top of the bridge tower.
Should be according to what?
This would be according to how perspective works.
According to how perspective works? Well, how do you come to the conclusion of Earth curve then?
Nope.
Hold on. If it's how perspective works, then it's perspective, right?
Well, if the Earth were flat, then you'd expect to see according to what we know about perspective, you'd expect to see the mountain above that 210 meter point on the tower.
And how have you validated that claim?
What do you mean?
How have you validated that cause that you have just asserted? How have you validated that claim?
So
So far, I'm not getting any Earth
I'm
curve
a
out of
little
this.
bit
So far,
tired,
I'm getting perspective. This doesn't affirm Earth curve. I don't really know where this is going, but I don't seem to be hearing much about Earth curve.
So, according to what we know about perspective, if the Earth were flat, you'd expect to see. I think the meters are. I think the mountains are about 900 meters high or something. So you'd expect to see 700 of meters of the mountain above the top of the bridge tower.
Why? Have you accounted for all of the atmospheric conditions? Have you got the measurements for all of those conditions on this image that we've not seen
Yeah, there's
yet?
quite.
Have you accounted for all factors when claiming perspective? I don't really understand still why we're having this conversation, given that the question is any signs of Earth curve, but nevertheless, I don't really understand how you validated any of this.
Well, he was at 210 meters high, so that would eliminate a lot of atmospheric conditions.
You having me on? You think the height adjusts the atmosphere? No. Atmosphere is still absolutely. Hold on.
Like
atmosphere is still absolutely between him and his observation, is it not?
What's that?
Atmosphere is still there. It's not disappeared because he's gone higher, has it? So atmosphere would need to be accounted for, and I'm asking quite directly if you have the measurements for all the atmospheric conditions that would be at play. Have you got all of those?
No, I don't have all the measurements for
Why not?
all the atmospheric conditions that are in play.
Well, why not? So you're just going to say that they're... Hold on. So you're just going to say they're not relevant because of his height? Well, that's total nonsense. So one of the major considerations that we get thrown at all the time is this thing called refraction. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah.
All right. Well, given that you're just going to whistle past it, there's an effect of refraction called sinking that could cause that. And you're just going to say you're going to whistle past it and blame it on something else. I mean, you haven't blamed it on anything yet. You've just said perspective. Given that the question's any signs of Earth curve, this is pretty useless.
So I was about to say about that, and because of his height, you would expect to see less sinking or looming or whatever when it comes to refraction.
Okay, so what you're saying is we see more or less sinking that you haven't verified. This has nothing to do with Earth curve. You're just backing everything that Ranty does.
To see less of it because of his height.
I'm still talking. You're just backing everything that Ranty does. So yeah, we can change what we see depending on our position. Well, what's the claimed cause of that? So far, perspective and atmospheric conditions. The question on the table, Planner Walk, is any signs of Earth curve?
Yeah, this would be an effect of Earth curve.
Oh, you just said it was an effect of perspective and refraction that you're going to ignore. So it is an effect of Earth curve. And how have you validated that?
Well, that's a false dichotomy you're putting out there. Just because it can be an effect of one thing doesn't mean that it can't be an effect of another thing.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm asking you how you validated what you've claimed. Shout out to Truth in Your Face. I wonder if Planner Walk will be doing an encore game show appearance, lol. Yeah, there are various things that can cause stuff. That's correct, Planner Walk. I specifically have asked how you validated your claims. So far, we've got 3. Perspective, refraction, and Earth curve. You haven't validated any of them as far as I can tell. You're just throwing this crap into the air.
So refraction's been minimized by his height.
No, it hasn't. He's still got refraction. He's still got atmospheric conditions to take into consideration. Those things aren't just going to be whistled past with a claim of height. Yeah? You take refraction indexes by getting the temperature differentials of all of the different layers that are claimed in your model. Yeah? That's how you get that. So I'd need to see temperature differentials every foot between you and the observer so I know precisely what the weather's going to do to this observation. That's absolutely something that can cause things. Sinking, looming, various other effects. So we're going to not whistle past them and claim height suddenly disavows all atmospheric conditions. No, it doesn't. If I'm in thick fog and I go up higher, I can still be in thick fog.
Yeah, and I do get where you're coming from.
Right, so let's not worry about that. What have you validated? Answer 0. You've just got a picture and your fundy assertions of perspective and refraction and Earth curve, none of which you validated. Literally none.
So, do you think that...
Why are you asking me something? Any signs of Earth curve? This is what we've got. A claim, a baseless assertion fallacy with nothing to support it. Wowee. Can we move on, or have you actually got any signs of Earth curve to give us? So far, not so good, Planner Walk.
there was another one quite a while back from a higher altitude balloon from... I can't remember the name that actually... I can't remember the name of the person that actually put it up, but it was mirrored on Journalism's channel.
What was? Oh, this is like pulling teeth.
What was that?
This is like pulling teeth. What was? What's your claim? Claim, then support. So make your claim. I claim I have a picture of Earth curving. What's your support of it? Well, just this picture here. Well, that was the same as the claim, would be my reply. You know, that's how it should progress.
There was a video that was put on, uploaded to YouTube, and Journalism mirrored it, and it shows Earth curve in a high altitude balloon.
And how did you validate that?
Oh, AB Science did a nice job of going through and showing all the amount that it's curved.
Amount what's curved?
The amount that the horizon is curved.
What's the horizon? What's the horizon?
The horizon is where the sky meets the ground, or appears to meet the ground.
Appears? So it doesn't actually then, so it's an apparent location then. So who cares what an apparent location does? The horizon, an apparent position curving, you're saying that's proof of Earth curve? No. It's an apparent location.
But Nathan, you said you're going to let other flatties talk to the ball earthers and tackle these situations.
Just doing housekeeping.
Can I handle
just doing housekeeping.
Oh, housekeeping, sorry.
Yeah. Any signs of Earth
curve?
Can
I just ask him about this?
Any signs of Earth curve? That's what I've asked. And so far...
I just want to ask him about...
I just want to go do the housekeeping, and then free for all. If you want to, okay, right. As soon as we're done with housekeeping, plan a walk. Spurs wants to have it out with you. Is that good by you?
Yeah, if it can be quick though, because I want to get to bed.
Okay, well we'll deal with it quickly. The horizon's not something that you can measure and claim is the leading edge of a sphere unless you beg the question, because it's not. It's the apparent position where the sky meets the ground, even though the sky doesn't meet the ground. So, yeah, can we whistle past this? You happy that it's been smashed into next week, plan a walk? Or are you going to now spend 5 minutes telling me how an apparent position is actually your reified Earth curve edge?
Well, normally I would try and explain, but I don't... Well, as I said, I'm tired and wasn't expecting to get into an argument, so...
Get into an argument? I've just explained that you've reified your globe belief into the leading edge of a sphere, which is actually the apparent position, apparent, not actual, position, where the ground meets the sky. The ground doesn't meet the sky, that never happens. So it's not something that you can say, look, the apparent position where the ground meets the sky is curving, therefore that's my fundamentalist religious belief in a sphere proven. It isn't. Did you want to continue this discussion and rebut my absolute demolition of this claim? Or can we move on, Planet Walk? If you feel that my rebuttal is unfair and that actually an apparent position is the leading edge of your sphere belief, then tell me all about it. If not, I'll ask for the next question in housekeeping.
Yeah, if I was more awake, I'd probably be able to address that, but yeah, we'll move on.
More awake? What are you going to do? You're going to turn a reified position that's not actual into your fundy belief? Or are you going to accept that a not actual position bending means nothing? Because that's my rebuttal, saying I'm too tired. If I had a better brain and I was more awake, I could actually address your demolition of this claim, which is what I've just done.
Well, you know, if you wanted to, I mean, it would be entertaining to see you try and debate at I don't know, 1 a.m. in the morning, but you know,
who
that would
cares?
probably wouldn't
This isn't that.
probably
Sorry,
wouldn't
who
look too good
cares?
for you. But you know.
Who cares? Either you can address my rebuttal or you can't. I don't care how tired you are. I've got 2 kids. Do you think I ever get any sleep? Don't answer that.
Well,
Don't answer. Any signs of axial rotation?
No.
Discord? Any
Nope.
any
Good
evidence
morning.
that Earth's spinning
any signs of axial rotation?
of the Earth-based
Did you say?
variety?
So that would be
Thought you were
things
tired.
things that show that the Earth is rotating, right? Like a gyroscope.
Claim support.
What was that?
For plan of work, are you asking us what axial rotation means right now?
I'm just saying that's so evidence for axial rotation. That would be something like a gyroscope moving at 15 degrees per hour, right?
Gyroscope
That would
moving
be
at 15
the
degrees
Earth.
now.
Plan of
Okay,
work.
right.
The Earth.
No, we've got.
Well,
Let's just get his claim. Let's just get it done. I want to get to the end of housekeeping, and then Spurs and Chocolate can go at it with Plan a Walk on whatever he wants to claim. But the housekeeping, I just want to rattle through it. Second question. So, axial rotation of the Earth-based variety. Your claim, gyroscopes. What's your support?
so one would be 15 degree per hour drift on a gyroscope.
Okay, a gyroscope drifts 15 degrees an hour. Why does that happen?
Well, that would be because it's that would be because the gyroscope itself isn't moving and the Earth is.
The Earth rotates underneath.
Can I ask a question?
Let me just demolish this, then we'll
It's
go on to the next
related, it's
housekeeping
directly
question.
related.
Just let me demolish it, then we'll go to the next housekeeping question. If the Earth rotates underneath a gyroscope, that would be a claim of Coriolis effect. 2 separate reference frames. Earth rotates underneath, gyroscope stays in the fixed frame of its own reference. So, if the Earth rotates under a gyroscope, then the Earth rotates underneath a helicopter, plane, or anything else in that reference frame. It just doesn't.
So this is
Nathan?
so when it comes to a gyroscope, that's different. Well, a ring laser gyroscope, to be more specific. That's different to a plane, because a ring laser gyroscope, that's not going off of the Coriolis effect. At least I don't think it is. I'd have to look more into that.
Right.
It
Can
is
I ask you a question about that?
It's a
ring laser
demonstration
gyro?
of the Coriolis effect. That's what you're
Please?
claiming. You're claiming a Coriolis proof. You're saying
Right.
it demonstrates 2 reference frames. One fixed, one with the Earth rotating underneath. Same with the pendulum. 2 reference frames. Same with the bullet that's supposed to deviate because it's in the second reference frame. So would a plane. Or anything else in the second
And
reference frame.
planes do.
Oh, so what you're saying is planes do suffer the effect of the Coriolis effect. Well, then, if that was the case, the Earth would be rotating underneath, and you'd have ludicrously short durations of travel as the Earth rotated underneath and the continent came towards the plane as it flew through the air in the second reference frame. That doesn't happen, ever. Earth does not
though.
rotate underneath aeroplanes.
So there are flights that are shorter one way than the other way.
Oh, really? To the tune of 1,000 miles an hour at the equator? And you have planes that are going backwards at the equator? That also happens, does it? 500
Now, that's
miles
just
an
your
hour plane is
misunderstanding
losing...
of-
So you've got on the equator, 500 mile an hour plane losing 500 miles an hour because it's fighting Earth turn. You stupid idiot.
So no, So no, what's happening is because the way that it works is the plane has retains the velocity of the Earth when it takes off, right? So when it's at the equator, it has this 1,000 mile per hour velocity. So as it goes towards the poles, then it actually still retains that 1,000 miles per hour or some of it, because it's got to work against the atmosphere.
What if it's travelling
And so
west? What if it's travelling west? What if the runway faces west? Does it retain 1,000 mile an hour backwards?
So yeah, it will retain the.
It will retain the spin in the opposite direction, will it? So it'll take off going 1,000 miles an hour backwards. This doesn't work.
So
hello, this does not work. This does not happen. Planes do not retain 1,000 miles an hour velocity of the spin of Earth when travelling west. That's nonsense.
Well, it does retain the velocity, because otherwise it would just, as soon as it would take off, it would go.
So if it retains the velocity, how are you seeing any apparent deviation then?
So when a plane goes from the equator north, it will actually deviate off its path.
Yeah, because you're claiming the Earth rotates underneath. Well, it doesn't only occur if you're travelling north. I've just asked what happens when they travel west. It takes off going west. Look, listen. According to you, a plane takes off going west and suddenly is fighting 1,000 miles an hour turn in the opposite direction. It's not retaining the speed because it's going in the opposite direction. This is nonsense.
It doesn't have to fight it though, because it's...
Oh, it doesn't? Well, yeah, it would absolutely have to if it was real. It just doesn't, because it isn't. It's not turning. There are no demonstrations of Coriolis effect beyond fundamentalist religious assertions of gyroscopes and pendulums and bullets, because anything that actually has any significant hang time, like an aeroplane, drone or helicopter, experiences absolutely no effect whatsoever. Continents do not come towards planes as they fly through the air because the Earth rotates underneath. That does not happen.
Well, there are flights that are shorter because of the Coriolis effect. One way than the other way.
No. The Coriolis effect is an apparent deviation because of a second reference frame. Not because of tailwinds, which is the only thing that could cause a flight to be significantly different. If you've got 1,000 miles an hour spin of the Earth underneath a plane, you'd have planes taking off the equator and immediately losing 500 miles an hour and watching the Earth turn underneath them at the tune of 500 miles an hour at full speed. It's absolutely preposterous.
So, first off, flights do retain the velocity that the Earth has. So
Citation. Citation.
This is just general physics.
Citation, please. Citation. I'm sick of this. Cite it. Cite where it says planes retain Earth spin velocity when leaving the ground. Cite that. Then support it with evidence.
Give me a few seconds. So here's a good physics thing which is for beginners, so you should be able to easily understand it. Why can't a plane fly slowly and let the Earth pass underneath? Put it in the live stream chat.
This has gone so far off the rail of the original setup. Can I please ask my question now?
Wait your
Yeah,
turn.
there's no. It's real, really.
My God.
This is housekeeping, Arvin.
My question was about that.
No, but so does Spurs and Chocolate, and they're waiting patiently.
Don't see anything in live chat. You're going to post it in Discord?
Yeah, I posted it in live stream in Discord.
Live stream.
It's in the live chat. It's called "Why Can't a Plane Fly Slowly and Let the Earth Pass Underneath?"
Okay, right. Give me a citation out of it. This is an entire reference. What specific part do you want me to look at?
So it says here, the reason an airplane can't just idle and let the ground pass underneath is the same reason why a ball dropped from a tower lands at the base of the tower and not next to it. A plane sitting on the ground is moving with the surface of the Earth, and while it appears to us at rest, it is actually moving 1,000 miles an hour. The exact value depends on your latitude. When it takes off, it still has speed from sitting on the ground. In order to fly east, the plane increases its speed relative to the surface of the Earth and begins to overtake it. Flying west, it decreases its speed relative to the surface of the Earth, and the Earth slips by.
But that would imply that the continents are travelling towards the plains. And you'd have massively reduced travel time to the tune of 1,000 miles an hour at the equator. Give me one example where this is demonstrated in a flight.
Well, there's also...
Did you hear what I just asked
so,
for? It's saying
yeah,
the Earth rotates underneath these...
which is a little
Excuse me. It's saying the Earth rotates underneath the flights. That's a claim of Coriolis. Correct. That's what should happen. Now show me an example of that.
So here's a citation from the same site that says, why do airplanes take longer to fly west than east? It's intermediate, so it may be a little harder to understand, but I'm certain you'll get it.
Give me a citation. Don't just tell me to read your entire reference. I want the citation specifically, then I want the backing for it, the evidence that shows that what they claim is true. They're claiming the Earth rotates underneath the plane, so I want you to give me an example of that.
This is not a pseudoscience sumo wrestling contest.
Don't just claim it.
Actually supply.
So let's get a few flights from LA to flight time LA to New York.
Hold on. Does what you've posted not give you any examples that they give?
I don't think it does, which is why I'm going to give...
They don't cite any examples. They just throw it out there.
Well, it explains why we're seeing what happens. So, okay, so there's... So yeah, here we go. So 12:30 to 9:10 a.m. American. It's going to be hard to find the exact flight. Is the exact same flight? American.
Saying it increases its speed to overtake the spin of the Earth. So you're saying that these planes can fly at 1,500 miles an hour? That's what it's saying. It has to overtake the spin of the Earth.
Yeah, I just read
in the
that
reference
myself.
frame of outside of the Earth, but within the reference frame of the Earth, it's flying at a speed that's in the reference frame of the Earth. It's flying at the speed whatever we measure it as.
Yeah, 1,500 miles an hour at the equator it would need to overtake the spin of the Earth and reach 500 miles an hour cruising speed. So you're saying that it can go faster than the spin of the Earth, 1,500 miles an hour, according to this article.
It's all due to reference frames. You see, I can walk down a plane flying at the speed that it's going, but I can never walk at a speed of 500 mile an hour or however fast planes go.
Look, listen
to my down the aisle perfectly comfortably.
Just listen, you're just talking nonsense. According to this article, the plane has to overtake the spinning speed of Earth's rotation. In order to do that and reach 500 mile an hour, approximately, it's got to go 1,500 miles an hour at the equator in order to overtake the spin of the Earth. So you're claiming, according to this article, airliners that go 1,500 miles an hour.
So,
do they as this just yes or no? Just yes or no? Do planes, as this article states, have to increase speed to overcome the speed of the spinning Earth? Yes or no?
Yes.
Show me a
But that's easy
plane
to do.
doing 1,500 miles an hour airspeed.
Well, it's already got the velocity of the Earth, so it only needs to
Going the
increase
other
enough
way.
to be able to
Hello,
fly.
going against it. Yeah? If it's going against it, going against the spin. If it's going against the spin at the equator and it just takes off and the ground's going underneath it at 1,000 miles an hour, then in order to make up any ground at all, in fact, in order to stay stationary, literally to do nothing, it's got to go 1,000 miles an hour. In order to go faster, it's got to go 1,500 miles an hour to actually be achieving 500 miles an hour across the ground. So, show me a 1,500 mile an hour flight. Show me a flight that takes off and has to increase speed as the ground underneath it is causing it to go backwards until it overcomes the speed at 1,001 miles an hour and then starts to gain the ground that it's lost going backwards while it increased speed.
I never said that the ground makes it go backwards.
It's going the opposite
Listen,
way.
Nathan.
It's going away from the spin. So the plane takes off, and underneath it, according to this article, the spin of the Earth carries on underneath the plane, and it's got to increase its velocity to overcome the spin of the Earth. Well, if it's taking off at, say, 150, 200 miles an hour, then it's got a deficit of 800 miles an hour. So in other words, it's going 800 miles an hour from your position on the ground backwards. So then it increases speed to 1,000 miles an hour, and then it's stationary in relation to the spinning Earth underneath. Then it's got to increase to 1,500 miles an hour to overcome the spin. This is absolutely preposterous.
So, Nathan, have you ever walked down the aisle of a plane?
Do planes do 1,500 miles an hour to beat Earth spin, plan a walk? Yes or no?
Let me ask you, have you ever walked
Don't
down
ask
the
me
aisle
something.
of a plane?
Yes, don't ask me, you wiggly little sod. Just answer my question.
It's relevant to my...
Well, no,
it's
don't
relevant to my
rumpus me.
point.
Don't rumpus me, globehead. Do planes first take off at 200 miles an hour and then have an 800 miles an hour deficit at the equator, and then speed up to 1,000 miles an hour to go nowhere, stationary, and then speed up to 1,500 miles an hour to actually gain some ground that they'd lost after taking off? Does that happen?
So it doesn't happen in the way that you said. It retains the 1,000 mile an hour that it has from moving with the Earth.
Yeah, but if it's going against the spin, then it's not retaining it. It's the opposite direction. So in other words, it takes off at 200 and it's not retaining 1,000 miles an hour. It's going the other way. So it's losing 800 miles an hour. Hello.
No,
No, Nathan, I think what happens.
Asking me
I
if
think
a
all
plane...
planes. I think all planes take off with the rotation, so they all get that 1,000 right. Planner. They all take off with the ball, and then once they're in the air, they can turn around and then not be as affected. Right?
What are you talking about?
Well,
no.
Well, then
You got runways
if you
facing
go with the ball at 1,000 miles an hour.
What the hell are you talking
take off.
about? Sorry, Spurs, have you got any citations for this? Or are you just making this up? Show me an example. According to Spurs, while he rumpusses the hell out of me, every single plane takes off in the same direction as Earth spin and then turns around. And then once they've got up to their 500 mile an hour speed, they start fighting 1,000 miles an hour on the equator, do they, Spurs?
That's what I'm saying, Planner.
Spurs, you're not helping. Spurs,
that's not at all what I'm trying to say.
You're not helping.
Okay.
Spurs, yeah, you've cited this. Well, Spurs just ruins. Right, you've cited this. This says that they have to fight and increase their velocity to overcome the spinning Earth. That's what this article says.
So, what
I'll read it. Let me read it.
About that,
I'll read it.
right?
I'll read it.
As you
Let me read it. The plane increases its speed relative to the surface of Earth and begins to overtake it. So before it does, it's going backwards. If it's not going the same speed as it and has to increase speed to overtake it, it's initially going backwards. Oh my God. Who wrote this article?
Did you literally not comprehend what you were reading there?
I can read words in English. The plane increases its speed relative to the surface of Earth and begins to overtake it. Full stop. Well, if it's not going, if it's not going initially at 1,000 miles an hour, when it's going against the spin, and it's only taking off at 200 miles an hour, then relative to the spin, it's doing 800 miles an hour backwards.
So you have just shown that you didn't actually understand the sentence you just read out.
The plane increases its speed relative to the surface. I understand that perfectly fine. Of the Earth. I understand what that means. And begins to overtake it. So, before it wasn't going as fast. Now it is. Going faster than it. Overtaking it.
So it doesn't say that it wasn't going as fast. All it's saying is that
that's just matter of
it
fact.
was going at the same
I'm saying
speed
it.
as the...
Matter of fact. If it's going in the opposite direction, it's got a net loss of 800 miles an hour. Yeah, this makes seeming sense if you're travelling off the planet, alleged planet, in the direction of the alleged spin. It all goes to shit when you turn the plane and have the opposite direction and taking off in the complete opposite direction against the spin. Then it doesn't work at all because it's essentially taking off with a net speed of 800 miles an hour backwards. So
it's always relative to the Earth. So, you know, if it's trying to go from so it's trying to I'm just trying to
shut up. I'm sick of this. You're a bonehead. We've ripped this to pieces 5 times. We've ripped it apart.
No, you just don't understand it.
What do you mean I don't understand it? I've asked you to cite it. You've told me to just go and read it. So I've let you babble on for a few seconds, gone to a particular section that does not support your argument because you don't have planes with a net loss of 800 miles an hour. And according to this, it's got to increase speed to overtake the spinning Earth speed. That's what it says in black and white. Now, unless you can take me to a part that absolutely backs what you claim it does, not that there's any examples linked here, not that there's any proof, not that this is from an aviator.
Well, I've actually it's really hard to do things on the fly during a debate, but I'm actually setting up a Google Sheet so that I can
What the hell are you talking about?
go ahead and
I haven't got anything in front of me. I am completely barehanded. I've got nothing. I've got nothing to hand. I've not even got a keyboard in front of me to do a Google search. What do you mean you don't expect... Is this like when you came and made your baseless assertion in the pre-show and you didn't expect to have to back it? Yeah, if you come here and make claims, you're absolutely expected to understand the claims and be able to back them. Yeah, that's part of a debate. I mean, are you this stupid that you come and go, oh, I've got the thin thing I'll have to work on the fly to back my nonsense fundy belief, and when I did do it on the fly, it was quite difficult to actually back my claim. Yeah, that just means you've lost.
Well, you can actually look up the flight times from New York to LA, and actually you can go and if you were to go and put them in a Google Sheets, you could actually find how the average flight time from LA to New York and the average flight time from New York to LA, and show that the Coriolis effect is playing a part with those flights.
Oh, really?
And you've done that. You could do that, or you have done that. Is this another...
I haven't done that.
Hold on.
I haven't done that yet, but something that just by looking at a few of the flights, I can say that it looks like it's shorter one way than the other.
Shut up.
Yeah, you're presupposing it. That's very nice.
And you're saying at a glance it looks like, and I apply my presupposition of Coriolis. That's what you're saying. You've not done any actual studies. You've not compiled any actual information. You've not actually validated your claimed cause of Coriolis in these differences that you seem to see at a glance. You've not done anything. Is this going to be shocking?
That's why I'm creating a spreadsheet.
Is it going to be a shock when I ask you to actually back anything you claim here? and you fail miserably every single time and say, I didn't expect to actually have to back my claim.
Okay.
So
Can I say something too? Have you accounted for airspeed or wind speed at different altitudes and factoring in the aircraft altitude and all that stuff when you've done this
Of course he
observation?
hasn't.
No, he obviously hasn't. He just said he basically did an
Well-
on-the-fly estimate.
Had a quick look at the times.
this is based on averages. So it's, sometimes it'll be faster, sometimes it'll be slower.
Oh,
but
so
these
it
are
doesn't
the-
back you at all
All
then?
right, yeah, it's just timey-wimey, wobbly.
Nonsense. I've had enough. 40
Right,
minutes
so
in.
can I now ask a question about the original statement, supposedly?
Go ahead.
I-
We're not going to get to the end of
Right,
housekeeping,
so, yeah.
clearly.
Because he brought up the supposed ring laser gyroscope, so I wanted to ask a question about that supposed conclusion that would prove the spinning of the Earth. So when this test with that gyroscope has been done, what was the orientation axis of the the apparent displacement of the of that gyro? What was the axis of it in relation to the Earth?
I don't remember, honestly.
Really? So it's just it rotates. It doesn't really matter. Just that it rotates means automatically, no matter where you are on the presupposed spinning ball Earth, if it rotates, yeah, that just proves that it rotates. Doesn't really matter how it's oriented. Is that it?
I suppose it might make a difference how it's oriented.
It might, you say? It seems that your
Yeah,
argument wasn't really thoroughly thought through.
I'm pretty sure, and this is just going off memory, I'm pretty sure that planes have 3 of them to measure all 3 different rotations that are, pitch, yaw, and roll of the plane.
Oh, absolutely. I know
Oh,
they
angle of
have.
attack.
That's the function of a gyroscope. But we were talking about that ring laser gyroscope that has that natural deviation. So I was
Yeah.
wondering, what was the orientation of the deviation? What was the axis of the spin, the apparent spin? And because what I can think of, what I remember of it, is that the axis of that ring laser gyroscope spin was actually perpendicular to the Earth. And unless you are on the presupposed North Pole point or South Pole point on this spinning ball Earth, that doesn't make any damn sense. I'm just saying.
I like to ask
So-
ball earthers, Planner, is this a belief, or do you know for a fact the Earth is a globe?
So when I initially looked into flat Earth, there were a
No,
few
forget
things.
flat Earth. Just about the globe. Do you know for a fact 100% we live on a spinning globe, or do you just kind of believe what they told us? How do you see it? That know absolutely.
Skimo,
I
before
could
you
go to
start
space,
to
I could
waltz
go to
over this, can I please have a response first to what I said?
Yeah,
Because I
Spurs
addressed
was
it.
in line first, actually, Armin, which is why I didn't stop him. But yeah, no offense, Spurs. If you're just going to ask him about his general beliefs and how he came to flat Earth, he's made a claim. Armin's asking him for support. Just go ahead, Armin.
So, right.
So-
So, if the orientation of the apparent rotation of the ring laser gyro in a stationary on the Earth, basically presumed, then how can that orientation prove a very specific spinning orientation of the presupposed globe Earth? Because that would it should be
What was
rotating
that?
on a non perpendicular axis pretty much anywhere, if that were the case. And I don't think it does.
What was the question again? You cut out for a bit for me. I've got shit internet now for some reason.
Right. So the ring laser gyroscope, that the automatic spin that it does, if you're gonna assume or presuppose that is due to the spinning of the Earth, then it requires certain aspects, namely that the orientation of its apparent spin needs to be perpendicular to the actual spin of the Earth and not perpendicular to the surface of where it is at the time when it's doing that.
Did answer. He said he doesn't remember the axis, Arwin. He did answer.
Well, I do remember because I asked Bob.
No, he
And-
says that he doesn't. He
Alright.
doesn't know the axis, what the where the gyro was.
Right.
So,
So I am
did
telling
Bob
him.
provide
So
an
I am
axis?
telling him. Because I do know.
Okay, go on then, Arwen, make
Or
your
did
point.
Bob Nodal provide an
Hold on.
axis that it was
He's just
on?
Arwen's saying he's asked Bob. Now he's going to explain what it was, presumably.
Oh, it was rotating perpendicular to the Earth in relation to where it was, and not in relation to the presupposed axis of the world, where it would only spin perfectly perpendicular on the North and South Pole. But I'm pretty sure it was done in America, which is not close to the North or South Pole.
Okay, Arwen. Have you got a rebuttal to that planar walk?
I don't. Yeah, I don't have much of a rebuttal because I'd need to look into it a bit more to analyze it and see what's going on
Of
here.
course, he doesn't. This is where the therapy comes in, Planner. Because I was talking.
Hold on, right before Spurs gets into giving him bloody therapy. Right, the gyroscope claim is simple. It's a claim of the Coriolis effect. It's demonstrating or claiming to demonstrate two separate reference frames: ring laser gyro, normal gyro, mechanical gyro, or pendulum. It makes no difference what the tools and apparatus used to make this claim are. They are claimed to be demonstrating the Coriolis effect, two reference frames. If the Earth rotates under the gyro, then it must rotate underneath aeroplanes. And when you get to the point that they actually concede, as Planner Walk did in this instance earlier, that they do have a rotating Earth going underneath planes, suddenly you've got to explain how planes aren't fighting against 1,000-mile-an-hour spin at the equator and why continents aren't coming towards planes. So that is the conclusion. We don't have an Earth-based Coriolis effect. Nothing with any significant hang time is ever affected by Coriolis. The only claims that are made are with apparatus or things with limited hang time to make the point that the Earth does spin underneath, even though it does not.
So
I want to move on with housekeeping now that we're back on track and Arwen's had is out with you and we've got to the point that Spurs wants to give you therapy. The only person that got left out was Chocolate.
Because this guy's under immense pressure right now.
I don't care.
His friends with
Spurs, Chocolate, have you got anything to add? Moving on. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
No.
So there is the Cavendish experiment.
Not an experiment.
No, man.
Hang on. I've got a claim for gravity.
Hold on. We've already had one though, Anthony. Do you want to make your assertion, Planner Walk? Cavendish experiment. I've said non-experiment. Go ahead.
So the Cavendish experiment is good evidence that mass will move towards mass.
Is it scientific evidence?
Yes.
So what's the observed phenomena?
The observed phenomena is objects will inexplicably move downwards, and we want to know why is that happening.
So
There's
helium
also,
balloons move down.
we noticed that.
Really? Cavendish?
Hold on. Just Anthony and Planner Walk.
So helium balloons move down, do they?
Yes, they do move down.
Have you got any evidence of that?
The objects move down.
No, that helium balloons move down.
Oh, helium balloons. Well, in a vacuum chamber, they move down.
Okay, but that's not really an observed phenomenon, is it? We don't see vacuum chambers with balloons in them. We have to make them.
True.
So have you got any evidence for a helium balloon that goes down?
So when it
Still
comes to
doesn't
helium
move
balloons, the
anymore.
reason why they
Arwen,
go up is
Arwen.
because there's buoyancy acting, which the buoyant force is
So
greater
the answer to my question was
gravity.
no.
Hold on,
Do
Anthony.
you not have any evidence
Anthony,
for a helium balloon going down?
Anthony, make the end of your statement again, Planner Walk.
What was that?
Can you just repeat the end of your statement, please?
So helium balloons in air don't go down because there's a buoyant force acting against them, stopping them from going down.
So does that mean you retract your previous statement that helium balloons did go down?
Yes, it did. I didn't actually hear exactly what you said. I didn't hear helium balloons. My internet's been cutting out real bad.
Okay, so the observed phenomena is things go down, but I've just said, well, helium balloons seem to go up. Initially, you suggested that that was not true, and we'll accept that you didn't hear it. So, is the observed phenomena a valid observed phenomena if things do also appear to go up?
So that would be buoyancy. So
Is
you've got
the observed
you've
phenomena
got two factors.
Let me re-ask it again. You're not answering my question. Is the observed phenomena a valid observed phenomena if objects also appear to go up? It's a yes/no question.
It is a valid phenomena because we want to know what is causing either of those things.
Well, I want to know what's causing the helium balloon to rise.
Yeah, and sometimes a good way to figure out what is causing the helium balloon to rise is to figure out why is everything else going down.
Bear with me. Sorry to interrupt you both. Shout out to Colin Turner, who says Planet Walk has lowered my IQ by at least half. Thank you very much indeed for your super chat. Vlad on Flat Earth. Lots of patience to deal with fools. Thanks, Nathan. Really appreciate your support, Vlad on Flat Earth. Thank you very much indeed for your super chat.
Damn, and
So
here I was
recently,
thinking I was a high IQ skeptic.
Planner. So recently, I had an observed phenomena, and I didn't have a helium balloon with an atmosphere I could manipulate, but I did have an egg that I could get to sit in a state of suspension, and I could make that egg rise, and I could cause it. So I performed a little experiment. I did a little hypothesis that predicted that if I changed the density of the liquid that the egg sat in, I could make the egg rise as if it was floating. And I added a little bit of density, and the egg changed its position. And if F equals ma, then adding the density or the salts to the solution changed the amount of mass in the solution. And because the salt's more dense than the water, it went lower than the egg, increasing the pressure, displacing the egg, creating a force called pressure. But I was told I didn't do that. I was told that I altered the buoyant force, and that's really what I did. But I didn't alter the buoyant force. I altered the density of the liquid using salt. So my explanation was within scientific method, but morons like you think that it was the buoyant force, but that falls outside of the scientific method because I didn't manipulate that.
Actually, you did manipulate the buoyant force because part of the buoyant force is the density of the liquid.
So when I change the density of the liquid, that is, by definition of the independent variable, something that I know damn well that you struggle with like a bitch, that is the presumed cause, Planner Walk. But you're now telling me it's not. So have you got a citation for an independent variable not being the presumed cause, please?
So when it's all to do with how you structure it. So let's say you have the...
Hold on 1 second. He's asked you for a citation that demonstrates that your presumed cause is not your presumed cause, basically. Have you got that?
So I'm not saying that the presumed cause isn't the cause, because I'm saying because density is causing the phenomena, but it's also buoyancy.
Can't have two causes in a scientific experiment.
Sorry, you're going to have to use a singular
Hold
cause.
on. Yeah, you're right, Arwin, but hold on. And this is Anthony's point.
So if you're going to claim there's an additional cause, I'd like to see proof that you can manipulate the buoyant force and just the buoyant force to prove that there is a force there. Otherwise, I'll call bullshit and tell people that you're trying to tell me there's two causes, and really there's only the one unless you can prove that there is a little bit of buoyancy. And in your explanation, you're going to have to manipulate gravity to do that, correct?
Not necessarily. There's other ways to manipulate buoyancy.
Really? Go on then. Tell me how.
So the second part of the buoyant force is the amount of liquid that's being displaced.
Carry on.
So if you're displacing a different amount of liquid, you should expect to see different results. So if I have
Sorry to interrupt. Shout out to Retro Bill. We're all toe tagged after this. Okay. I just want to say he didn't vary the amount of water, Planet Walk.
No, I'm saying there is a way to test for a second.
I appreciate that. But what I'm saying is, in this instance, that wasn't what was varied. So I know you want to make it. This is. If I don't stop you now, this will verge into strawman territory, where you start talking about if you varied the water. He didn't vary that, though, did he? So let's not concern ourselves with that, because that's not the independent variable in this instance. Is it, Anthony? To lead back to you.
No. So what was the thing that I did manipulate?
The thing that you did manipulate is was the density of the liquid, right?
Right. So by definition, do you agree that the independent variable is the thing that the observer manipulates? Yes or no?
Yes, I do agree that the observer will manipulate the independent variable.
Okay. So if you're now going to say that there's two independent variables, how are you going to support your claim with evidence?
By doing an experiment to make sure that the one independent variable that we've manipulated isn't, because do you think that there will only ever be one singular cause for every single thing?
That's not the question.
You didn't answer my question.
Hold on.
That's
Sorry.
a straw man.
It's a
We're
straw
talking
man
about
again.
gravity.
Yeah,
now.
you're right. Hold on, Owen. Yeah. In this instance, he's got an independent variable. He's varied it, and he's caused the effect. I don't really understand what difference this makes, Planet Walk.
Well, he swerved my question, Nathan. The question I asked
straw
him was-
man to you. That's what I've just pointed out, and Owen's jumped in to say the same. Yeah, that's just a straw man.
So let me re-ask my question.
So
if you're going to claim there's a second cause, how would you propose that you would test it?
So you'd have other hypotheses. So you'd say, okay, I think that the volume of liquid being displaced is another cause of why of the.
Okay. So how are you going to change the volume of liquid to test your cause?
So what you'd do is you'd have two objects, right? Which one would that both weigh the same amount or have the same amount of mass, and you would one of them would be larger than the other, thus displacing more liquid. Now, if you want to check to see, what's that?
Hold on, Anthony. Sorry, carry on, Planet Walk.
So, if the buoyant force is true, then you should see the object that has a larger area. You should see that one rise faster than the one that doesn't have a larger area, or larger volume, should I say?
Anthony?
That seemed like word salad.
Anthony, not Arwin. Can't hear you.
Did Anthony drop out or something?
He's probably on the phone or something.
Give him a couple of seconds.
Okay.
Can we move on?
Hear anything? What's going on?
Waiting on Anthony.
You know, when you're around, your guys,
Hold
you're
on,
very
Spurs.
different.
This isn't
you're
your
very
opportunity.
confident. Like, oh, these are just morons and they don't get things.
Spurs! This isn't just an opportunity to derail the whole conversation just because Anthony stepped away for a second for some unknown reason. Just give him a few more seconds. Hopefully we've got a few more minutes. No, he has literally completely vanished. Is that you typing, Anthony?
No, that's me. I'm Skyping him. Like, hello,
Probably
we're
on
waiting
phone
on
call.
you.
I'm going to round out the live show over shortly and ask everybody who's watching on Nathan Oakley to stay tuned. But like I say, I'd rather give it a couple more minutes to see if we can round this out on the live show.
Oh, it's not connection problems because he just seems to be online normally. So it's probably on a phone call.
I think you're right, Arwin. Unfortunately, that is going to be the last opportunity for Anthony. But as I say, if you're watching on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. If you're watching this on Nathan Oakley 1980, unfortunately, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you tuned in, smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Also, of course, a massive thank you to all of today's Discord and Google Plus Hangouts on Air panels for making this debate possible. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum, which you should definitely join. Stay tuned if you're watching on Nathan Oakley premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!